Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're doing a bit of a tier list video. This content is a little bit dry over on the global side of the game, and I thought, well, with the new year, let's do an updated version of our tier list in the Kizuna free-to-play units, the treasure map free-to-play units, and all of those particular characters. If you guys have any ideas of tier lists that you guys want me to do, leave them in the comment section below, and while you're there, don't forget to belt that like button if you're new. Hit the big red subscribe button too, but like I mentioned, today, we will be talking about Kizuna characters, and we'll be doing a tier list on these particular characters to help you guys pick up to sort of give you guys an understanding of which ones are really good and which ones you should be picking up from the shop. Now, unfortunately, the tier list maker, huge shout out to the tier list maker and the OPTC database for the images provided. Links for both of those will be in the description below, as always. Unfortunately, they aren't up to date exactly with the Kizuna free-to-play characters. They are still missing the Zoro and Sanji, the Wano characters, the 5+ Don Krieg, and I think that's it. But we will talk about them at the end. They're not in the shop, so look, it doesn't really matter too much. And obviously, by the time they do hit the shop, we will probably have done an updated tier list by then. So we'll talk about them anyway. I'll tell you like where I think they do deserve to be on the tier list anyway. But with that said, let's dive in. Now, before we dive in, this is my personal opinion for what characters that I like to use. I like to rank characters on usability. That's the big thing for me. How useful is that character? How much play does that character see? The character could be really good on paper, but like if there's nowhere to use that character, then like they may not rank as highly as what you may think they rank. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Make sure to keep them positive though. I do like to discuss things with you guys, and there is no wrong opinion at the end of the day. So let's dive in. The first character is Bardo. Now this character is a straight up support character. Pretty decent support, but like if you want to use this guy as a support, you can actually pick him up and then just level him up. You only need one copy, like, and then just use medals. Like, it's pretty simple from there. Another support character is we have the Perospero. He's actually really good. I would highly recommend picking up this Perospero, because he locks cerebral characters, and he goes on any cerebral character as well. Cerebral characters, orbs. He's a very decent unit. Another really good support is this Margaret. She actually gives a matching orb on the final stage. I'm pretty sure she goes on quick units, if I remember correctly. So make sure to pick her up. But the first big Kizuna character was actually Zoro and Sanji. Now, Zoro and Sanji, they're a bit of an interesting one, because when they came out, they weren't really used. They were like the first free-to-play character that was like a 2.75 times orb boost to fighters and slashers. So they were kind of like really good when they first came out. But now that we have the other Zoro and Sanji, this character is just like not a character you actually want to pick up. Like, I haven't used this character in like the last 12 months, I reckon, if he's even been out for that long. But there's been situations where you can use him, but like in terms of using your insignias, I wouldn't pick this character up. Like, you could argue that like, yeah, sure, he's solid to me, but in terms of his usefulness and where I've used him, I couldn't tell you the last time I actually used this character. Like, it's simple as that. This Kizuna Boa, though. This Kizuna Boa is pretty niche. She's the Stampede Kizuna character that came out alongside Bullet and Stampede Luffy. I can't really remember last time I used her. She's a 3x chainlock, if I remember correctly. She's a free spirit and a shooter character, or fighter. She's Dex. I guess, like, if you want that chainlock, she has a HP cut as well, which is kind of nice for damage. But, like, again, she's another character which, like, I've never really used. I think I've used her on free-to-play teams when I've been doing that building, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be a better option. Magellan. This Magellan's pretty niche. The thing with Magellan is he would auto-trigger his special at the start, very similar to Kaido would at the start of each turn, I should say. So not really like Kaido, actually. Once you use his special, at the start of every turn after that, you'll actually get his poison mechanic. And that way you can actually get a conditional boost off on poison if they were like immune to poison and stuff, or if they put up immunity. So you actually can use this guy for Kizuna and stuff to get more damage output, but he's pretty niche, and he's not a character I would prioritize, as the extra damage numbers he gives are, like, okay. This Sabo. This Sabo is actually fairly solid. I've actually used this Sabo quite recently. He did come alongside the Halloween batch of Law, Mihawk, and Halloween Shanks. Or did he? No, he came alongside Halloween Ace, sorry. And he came out with a free-to-play Luffy as well. Whenever that Luffy comes around, that free-to-play Luffy, make sure to pick him up. He's actually pretty solid as well. He can be like a 3x orb boost, I'm pretty sure. He's fairly solid. He's a Sabo character too. He's not one that I would prioritize. Maybe he's best he's niche. I guess I'll put him in solid, but like that might change for now. I do remember using him not too long ago. Was for nothing too drastic. Like, he was an option. But like, he's definitely seen more play than these two units. Alright, Christmas Shirahoshi. This Christmas Shirahoshi is awesome. Christmas Shirahoshi is a free spirit character as far as I remember as well. But she also makes all colored orbs favorable for sign-in characters. And then she's an orb booster, which has the carryover effect if you hit like 3 perfects, I'm pretty sure. She's a really, really good character. And if you have like the Insignias to spare, I definitely would pick her up. She was really good for, obviously, the Wapples Cotton Candy Farming event, as she was a boosted character. She's a Shirahoshi, so she has some nice supports, and she's a fairly solid free-to-play Kizuna character. Looking at Okiku now, Okiku for me is one of the best, easily one of the best Kizuna rare cards. I still use this Kizuna Okiku a lot. I actually recently used Kizuna Okiku on the Luffy arena, literally the latest arena on both Japan and global. She's amazing. She gives 2 turns of cooldowns. With her specialist, she has double special activation. She removes 2 turns of bind, 2 turns of paralysis, so you can get 4 turns. She can use very good supports like Kawamatsu. Pretty sure she can use Kanjuro as well. I don't think she can use Raizo, but like, there are a lot of really good supports that this Okiku can use. She's a very, very solid unit, and I would definitely pick her up. She's probably one of my most used Kizuna characters on this out of these particular characters, so make sure to pick her up. She's very, very strong. Marco and Ace. Marco and Ace have sort of dropped off a lot. When I think it first did this tier list, I put them in God tier. But as time's gone on, they sort of have fallen off. Their switchability is really, really good. They change Dex Orbs or Unfavorable Orbs into Strength, which they makes matching as a Sailor. They're a free Spirit character, and they're a 2.75 times attack boost to Strength characters. With the release of the Straw Hat Legend, this character actually got a huge buff, because you can actually put them underneath the Straw Hats and turn that 2.75 times attack boost. Oh my god, go to the front. The 2.75 times strength attack boost into a rainbow attack boost. So very, very nice free-to-play unit as an option for that team, as they can make matching orbs too, which does help out with the crew variant. They can give strength orbs as well, which can be really, really nice for stuff like Dofi too and whatnot as well. So very solid unit. Definitely an amazing character still for me because of that Straw Hat release. I still use them quite a bit, especially on strength teams and stuff like that. They do set your HP like down to like 1 or something, but they do heal, so they're a very good unit, and they're still like can be used in a lot of very hard and very interesting content. So definitely amazing. This Koala is pretty niche. She has that mechanic where she lowers the defense, but she doesn't give a conditional for that. Or no, sorry, she gives a conditional, but she doesn't lower the defense. But what you can do with her is you can actually use the support of limited rare recruit Bello Betty, and for that reason I'm going to slap her into niche, because you actually can get the conditional boost with this unit. She's pretty good for fighter teams, but other than that, like, she doesn't really see too much play. She's another character I really wouldn't prioritize, but if you do have limited rare recruit Bello Betty, I would give it a little bit of thought at least. This Moria. Now, I haven't really used this Moria too much lately, but this Moria is really good. He gives an orb boost to, I know it's strength characters, but I want to say it's strength, dex, and quick. Let's quickly look at that. One sec. I'm pretty sure he gives it to strength, dex, and quick characters. Or is it just... No, strength, dex, and psi characters. He's a 1.75 times orb booster. He locks the slots and he turns all type slots into strength. Really good for strength teams. And then he gives you the clock buff. After 2 turns, he'll also give that same orb boost once again. So pretty solid unit, especially if you're getting around mechanics that have interrupts with orb boosts. He is a driven character as well. Driven slasher, actually. So he's fairly solid. I wouldn't put him up here in amazing, but he's definitely solid. Like, he's a pretty solid unit. I don't know if I would prioritize him. Honestly, I don't think I'd prioritize him over Sabo per se. But he's still fairly good. And if you have those insignias to spare, then I definitely would pick him up. Just touching on that Sabo, he also locks slots. And if the crew has 6 T&D orbs, he boosts Striker and Fighter character and Striker, Fighter, and Shooter characters slot effects by 2.25. For 3 turns, he does a 1.75. Otherwise, if you don't have the 6 T&D slots, if you partner him up with that Luffy, like, you can get a 2.25 orb boost, which is actually pretty good. And if you've got also like something like Sober Mask, if you're building those like a rainbow teams or whatever, you can get a 2.25 orb boost, which is pretty nice. Honestly, it's pretty nice. Alright, this is another, I honestly cannot remember their names. Ingo, they came out alongside this Moria as a free-to-play support. Their support is nowhere near as good as these other ones. If I had to put it somewhere, I'd put it down the end. In terms of like priority. For me, the priority list would look a little bit like that. When it comes to the support characters, Paris is really good. The Margaret's really good. The Bardo's okay. And this character, you just don't have to worry about him. Linlin. This Linlin kind of got overshadowed by the free-to-play Olin that we actually got given on Global, who was a farmable character for the release of Nami and Usopp, as well as Robin Jinbei. This character kind of got overshadowed by that unit because it just does what this character does. I'm going to put her in the niche character because she actually removes positive effects, which can actually be pretty useful. If you did Arena Luffy, you would have found out that that can be a very, very strong mechanic when the content requires you to do so. But that's the whole idea of this tier. It's basically when the content requires you to do so. So, she's a niche character. She gives an orb boost. I think she gives color affinity as well. It's a lot of, like, int big moms. So, like, she's probably not your priority to actually, like, focus on when it comes to actually building these particular units. But nevertheless, she can see some play in particular content. This carrot, if I remember correctly, this carrot actually removes defense up completely. If I remember correctly. If I remember correctly. For that reason, I kind of want to put her in amazing tier. I have used her quite a bit. She's a really good free-to-play option. She has a 15% HP cut. Yeah, she completely removes defense up, which is really ironic because, like, Legend carrot doesn't do anything with defense up. She does everything else. So, it's funny that this character completely removes defense up. She's a 1.75 times attack boost if your captain is strength or int, and she boosts your chain multiplier by 0.65 otherwise. Look, the removing defense up it's more than just niche, because, like, you can use it on, like, 2 turns, 3 turns, 5 turns, 10 turns, it'll work fine. The fact that she kind of needs a int or a strength captain, for me, it probably bumps her back down into solid. Having the ability to get, like, what's it called? The defense up removal is great, but to get the other effects, like the attack buff and the 0.65 chain, kind of sucks a little bit that your captain has to be a particular color. But nevertheless, she's solid. You can definitely use her. If you need defense up removals for your box, she's going to be a really good character to actually pick up. Law and Chopper, I don't know why they're there. I don't think they're a Kizuna unit off the top of my head. We're just going to put them in Dookie, because, like, you don't need that character. Like, just never use that character. Luffy and Boa. I think Luffy Boa had in the amazing tier last time. I think it's time that they actually got upgraded. I think it's time they actually got upgraded. I use this character a lot more than what I first gave them credit to. And as time goes on, they've just done really, really well. They're a 2.25 color affinity boost to Sign Int. Very, very powerful. They're a Luffy, they're a Boa. Very great supports. They're Sign and Int, which is 2 very good colors. They're a great unit. Really, really good unit. They lock orbs. They give you a full board of orbs. Unfortunately, not through block. And their switch actually gives healing, which has been really, really handy for me when I have used this character. I did use them for my Sai and Int one team beats all for Garbs challenges. It actually worked really nicely, and they were a big part of that, even though they weren't boosted under Warrior. So, definitely a god tier unit. I still would prioritize Okiku over them, but if you are looking for a good color affinity booster for those classes, the Luffy and the Boa is definitely up your alley, 100%. KIZUNA Kaido. KIZUNA Kaido's Dookie. He's straight up Dookie. I honestly don't care what anyone says. This character, he stinks. He absolutely stinks. I'm just going to bring this down. I'm just going to bring this down here like that, so that way you guys can actually see the KIZUNA tier list. This character actually stinks. I have not touched this character since the release of him. I couldn't even tell you what he does. I just remember that he actually sucks. Like, he's not an ideal character. He's a driven striker. He does 20%, he's an insta-kill character. That's right. I remember now. He's an insta-kill character if you're above 20%. Otherwise, he deals 1 million damage and boosts the chance to land on quick slots and changes all orbs randomly. So, he's a okay quick captain and, like, 3.25, reduces cooldowns by 2 at the start of the fight. But his big gimmick here is just the insta-kill. And I guess for that reason, you could put him in niche. But for me, like, you have Rare Recruit Sugar. You have free-to-play Garp, who's just better options. Like, just way better options. The thing is, when, like, enemies revive, they always revive at, like, above 20% HP. So this just never works. Like, it's not as good as it seems. And we already have a Rare Recruit that's done that before. So, for me, he's Dookie. But if you want to make an argument for niche, like, I understand. Alright, onto, the Kimono Buggy. Another god-tier Kizuna character. This Buggy's really, really good. If your captain is Free Spirit, he will give you a full board of orbs, I'm pretty sure, as well as remove, like, Paralysis, Special Bind, as well as, what was the other thing he does? I know he does Paralysis, and I know he does Blind, Despair, and Paralysis by 5 turns, and he changes all orbs, including block orbs, if your captain's Free Spirit. So for Free Spirit teams, this Buggy is very, very powerful, very, very good utility, and great orb manipulation. He's a god tier, I guess, if you want to say he's amazing, because I don't think he's as good as these other two. I would prioritize him sort of last on the list out of these three. But he's very, very good. Very, very handy for utility for Free Spirit teams. If you guys are lacking the utility of some of the rare recruits and stuff like that through the Free Spirit team. Alright, on to Sakazuki and Borsalino. These are another character that we sort of spent like a month farming. I'm kind of glad they moved away from that, and at the time of their release, they were amazing to me because they were a special bind with their switch, I think, by one turn. But as time's gone on, they've just kind of dropped off, unfortunately. Driven's been really powerful. They do a lot of damage, and if your captain is Strength or Psi, they boost Driven and character slot effects by 2.75. They do it for 2 times otherwise. But the big gimmick with these guys was their switch ability. They changed their own slot into matching, and they remove slot bind and special bind by 1 turn. So I remember when Enel, like Garb Challenge Enel was out and stuff like that, these guys were the key for the Strength and the Psi team. The one team beats all the Garb Challenges for Strength and Psi, 2 colors sort of thing. But other than that, they haven't really seen too much play. So I'm going to drop them into Amazing. Their switch ability is really, really good, but where you use it is just like not that essential. However, a 2.75 times Orb Booster Driven and Slasher characters is nothing to scoff at. They are Strength, they are Psi, they're Borsalino and Sakazuki. They are fairly decent units, but something that I wouldn't prioritize as well, like honestly, I would probably just push them back here. Unless, just because like, if you have like Versa Kainu, there's a good chance that you're like never using this particular unit on the team, because that Versa Kainu sort of just overshadows him. Halloween Kid. Halloween Kid is a god tier for me. This Halloween Kid I use quite a bit. He gives cooldowns if your captain is Strength or Int, and he also does end of turn damage for 4 turns. And then he has that ability to start with his special, which is actually really good. This guy was a weapon for stuff like treasure maps. He's weapon for like farming the manual quests and stuff like that, as he does a whole bunch of damage as end of turn, which is great for just taking down fodder stages. Really, really good Kizuna rare recruit, or Kizuna character, I should say, free-to-play character. I definitely farm this one up. He also removes 3 turns of defense and threshold. He's a character that I would definitely look at maxing, as I actually use this kid quite a bit. I recently used him on Arena Luffy as well. He was very good for that. And because of the Straw Hats release, this guy is actually really good, because that cooldown can actually become a rainbow cooldown as well now. So another good unit that got like a really good buff when it comes to that Straw Hat character. On to the next character now, Basil Hawkins. Now this Basil Hawkins was an absolute weapon for the Blitz battle, well, the fake Blitz battle that we had on Global for Yamato's release. He removes Paralysis and Despair by 5 turns, and he does Threshold, as well as nullifies damage from Strength, Quick, and Int characters. I have only really seen him used in that one piece of content, however, but being able to remove Paralysis and Despair is nothing really to scoff at. I don't really use him anywhere else, though, so for the one reason that he did come in handy, I am going to put him in the niche category, as he was very, very good for that. Like, very, very good. Alright, so moving on to the next character now, we're going to be looking at Beige. Now, this character was a bit weird when they came out. They are a driven shooter, and what they do is they rotate all orbs, including block, into unfavorable slots, and then whatever orb they rotate your captains to, say you're running like a strength captain, it'll make that orb quick. They'll turn all of that orb into a favorable orb for 1 turn. They'll also lock the slots, sorry, for 3 turns, and they'll lock the slots, and then they'll double the crew's attack depending on how much HP you have. 3 turns for 20k, 2 turns for 10, 1 turn for 0 or more HP, depending on how much HP you have. Now, this is actually not a terrible ability. It sounds really funky on paper because you get unfavorable slots, but if you're running a full Dex team with this guy on the team, like, they'll make that orb matching for everyone, and then everyone will have that orb, they'll lock the orbs, you get an attack boost for 3 turns, and because it makes that orb matching for 3 turns, you can actually carry that into a stage and get around that debuff that actually makes orbs unfavorable. Now, I don't use this character that often, I haven't really used them at all, but this is actually fairly solid, and in used in the right way, I definitely think that they can be used fairly well. Worst case scenario, it is pretty niche, I suppose, but, like, you could use this guy on, like, a Verse Ace team, and Verse Ace, like, would make those sort of orbs, like, favorable with his captain ability and stuff like that. So this Beige is actually not terrible, like, not a terrible unit. Very janky when it comes to team building, so I guess he's probably niche at the best in terms of actually, like, building the team out. But, there's definitely areas where you can use this guy. I haven't per se, like myself, so that for that reason I think niche is probably the best place for him. But you definitely can. Like, I've actually got quite a few ideas in my head about how this guy could be used. I might have to test him out in some content. Moving on to Nami and Robin now. This particular character I'm a big fan of. Now, this is one of those fake dual units that came out. They remove 6 turns of paralysis. They do a 15% HP cut. They double the crew slot effects, and they prevent the the double damage debuff, which that really doesn't matter too much. The main reason you're using this character is for their orb boost, their paralysis, and their cooldown, which is really, really cool. Rainbow doubling slots is always nice. 15% HP cut means they do damage, so you can use supports. They have Nami in the name, so you have a lot of really good supports. You can use Bardo for more paralysis removal on this particular character because it's Robin. The Mr. 1 support works well too. So this character is pretty cool. Again, a character I probably wouldn't like prioritize, but if you have them, they do see play and they do pop up every now and again as a pretty good unit for content. On to King now. King's an interesting one. You get 3 turns of a 2.25 times attack boost to quick characters, which actually can be fairly nice. And I have used this guy a little bit for quick-based teams. But another big thing that this King actually does, he removes 6 turns of chain lock and chain coefficient reduction, which is actually fairly nice. The downside is you have to hit a 12-hit combo to get that 2.25 times attack boost. But this is still pretty solid, and whenever you need to remove chain lock, which is a very annoying debuff because it does reduce your damage drastically, this particular character can see some play for quick teams. He is a driven and a powerhouse unit, so there's also that driven powerhouse always being very, very nice. For characters like Versakainu, this guy is actually really good because he can remove that chain lock for Versakainu. But you do have to be careful where you use his special because, like, it can bite you in the backside. Moving on to Dofi now, Doflamingo. I don't remember what this guy actually does. I think he extends the chain lock, which is actually pretty dookie. Shout out to my boy Tony. I know he loves this unit. But he does 100 times his damage, and then he removes defense up and threshold by 5 turns, and then changes adjacent orbs, and then he extends the chain lock multiplier by 1 turn. Like, this is... He sucks. Like, I've never used this Dofi. I haven't touched him once since his release. Very similar to Kaido. You can use him for stuff, but... Why? Like, you could put him in niche, but, like, just why? Like, there's just better ways to do, like, what he is aiming to do. On to Katakuri, though. I do remember using this Katakuri not too long ago. He is a 3-turn chain locker. He's only 2.75, but he does remove 5 turns of paralysis and damage reduction as well. He can also rotate block, recovery, and TND orbs to matching, which is fairly okay. Like, he's an okay unit. I've definitely used this Katakuri. I don't think he is the... Oh, that's not Katakuri. He's not the be-all or end-all. So I guess he's kind of niche if you want that 3-turn of chain lock to get around that chain lock debuff. The one that we were talking about with King. But, like, nevertheless, like, there are better chain lockers. He does have block orb manipulation, which is great. I can't remember exactly what the content was that I used him for, but I do remember using him not too long ago. It was probably like 2 or 3 months ago. And he was actually it was a fairly solid option. Removing paralysis, rotating block orbs, which is always nice as well. I guess you could say, like, he is a solid option, but not one that I would sort of prioritize. Now that I'm looking at the list now, I'm going to drop this Sabo down because, like, to get that 2.25, you do need to partner him up with that Luffy, which is pretty niche in my opinion. He's not a bad character by any means, but, like, I don't really use him as much as, like, some of these other characters up here. On to the Kuja Pirates now. The 5+ Kuja Pirates. Definitely one of the best free-to-play characters in the entire game. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. They are a conditional boost. As long as you're above 50,000 HP, guaranteed. They delay, which is awesome. They remove 5 turns of defense up. They're a rainbow. They're attack boost to shooters and free spirits, I'm pretty sure. Which is really, really cool. And they have a fairly decent captain ability. So this here is the 5. Is that the 5? Yeah, this is the 5-star that you see here, but we are going to talk about the 5+. They remove 5 turns of defense up, doubles the attack of shooters and free spirits, and they're the guaranteed conditional. They are one of the best free-to-play characters in the entire game. There's no doubt about that. Very, very good. This is a character that I would prioritize leveling up the most out of all of these Kizuna characters, provided they are in the shop, obviously. Moving on to... I think I'm going to drop this Buggy down. Yeah, I think this Buggy deserves to be in the amazing tier now. I don't use him as much as I used to, and there's other characters that are good utility. Just looking at the characters above him, I think it's probably best that we put him in amazing. To be fair, like, honestly, like, just to be fair. Alright, on to Brook now. This Brook came out alongside the Mugiwara 56. He's a pretty good unit. Not a terrible unit by any means. He does remove damage reduction. I'm pretty sure he does it by 6 turns. And he does a orb boost, 2.25 to free spirits, slashes, and psi units, I'm pretty sure. No, just free spirit and psi units. He has a 1.5 times orb boost and a 2.25 times attack boost for 2 turns. But if you already have an orb boost, doesn't he extend it? Now, if the crew has a slot boost when the specialists launch, he's a 2.25 times attack boost for 2 turns. And if you don't have a slot boost, he does it for 1, which is fine. If the crew has an attack up of some and slot boost at the same time, he's going to extend the crew's attack buff for 2 turns. So that's the way he works. I remember now. So he's a pretty amazing unit. Being able to get a 2.25 times attack boost to Sai and free spirit's really, really cool. But just be mindful, he does do that little 1.5 times orb boost. So ideally, you want to have an orb boost before you use this character. But getting 2.25 times attack from just from a free-to-play character is very, very powerful. Very, very strong ability. Definitely a character you do want to farm up. Provided you have the insignias. I don't think I would prioritize him too much on this list. I think I would put him here in terms of the listing, like that. I'd probably put him somewhere like that, or maybe even putting Marco and Ace above him might be the way to go. Yeah, I think I would probably do it a little bit like that if I was prioritizing these units. Moving on to Jack now. Now, this Jack is the 5-star, but he does obviously have a 6-star, a 5-star plus, which makes him infinitely better. Any of these 5+ characters, just they are definitely the cream of the crop when it comes to this particular tier list. They are definitely the best when it comes to them, and we'll talk about them. He does 3 turns of strength-driven powerhouse color affinity. Here is 6 turns of attack down and 6 turns of paralysis, while also doing 100 times his attack as damage. He is amazing. He's a very, very good unit. Honestly, I'm just going to put him in God tier. I would put him, in terms of where I use him, I do use him a little bit more than I would use something like the Boa. But, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I would probably prioritize it a bit like this. I do use him a lot more than Luffy and Boa. I do probably use him as much as the kid, but the utility value of 6 turns of paralysis and attack down is very, very powerful. So if you can, definitely farm up this guy. Get his skulls because he's a very good unit. I've definitely used him in a lot of content since his release. On the Japan side, on Globe, I didn't pick him up until a bit later. But 6 turns of paralysis and attack down is very, very good. On to Ivankov now. Ivankov's interesting. I mainly use this character in, Treasure Map. With the new release of Treasure Map, getting the upgrade. He's a solid unit. He does a bunch of wave clearing, which is really, really nice. But he can also be a attack boost, as well as a block orb manipulator, which is really, really nice. He rotates block orbs, empty, and bomb slots. He removes resilience and damage reduction by 5 turns, and also has 100,000 fixed damage. He doubles free spirit and cerebral character's attack, which are very, very good classes. Very, very good. Definitely not a character I would prioritize at all. But definitely a character that I do think is fairly decent. When it comes to this particular tier, I do think I would do something. I would definitely have this carrot at the top there. Probably have the Nami like that. I guess I'd have Katakuri last. So I guess I'd probably put them. Why can't you just slide where I want you to be? There we go. I'd probably prioritize them a little bit like this for this particular tier. On to the final unit on this tier list, and then we'll talk about the 2 characters that are missing, is Olin. Now, this Olin is going straight into God tier. In my opinion, she's probably the best of the Kizuna characters, especially her 5+. Her 5+ is incredibly powerful. She's a 3-turn orb boost for int, powerhouse, and driven characters. She rotates block orbs into similar slots, which she makes matching for those 2 classes, which is very, very good. She also removes damage reduction, special bind by 6 turns. Very, very powerful unit. You definitely want to get her done. Get her 5+ as well. She's an incredible, incredible unit. So, this is what the tier list looks like. These particular units down here, the niche and low, these support characters, definitely just pick up 1, max their support. Don't worry about these dookie. Don't even really worry about niche and solid. If you have the insignias after you've done these characters at the top here, that's when I would start looking at these. Or if you need them to beat particular pieces of content. None of these characters you especially from amazing down, these are the characters here I would definitely do. And then everything sort of underneath that is sort of just finish them when you need them for a particular piece of content. But that's the tier list for the Kizuna characters that are out at the moment on the tier list. Let's talk about Don Krieg 5+, as well as Zoro and Sanji now. Alright, so the other 5+ character that is missing from this tier list is the Krieg Pirates. Now, the Krieg Pirates are actually really, really good. And once again, these 5+ characters are going to find their way most likely into the God tier category. As a captain, he's a 3.75 times attack boost to driven characters. If they have a strength orb, he's a 3.5 times otherwise, unless, wait, well, let me start again. He's a 3.75 times attack boost to driven if they have a strength orb, 3.5 times otherwise, HP by 1.5 and boost the chancing of landing on strength orbs. Fairly decent captain, but you're mainly using this guy for his special. 10% HP cut to all enemies, makes badly at matching and block orbs, not reduce damage for 5 turns. Poisons all enemies, reduces Bind and Despair by 5 turns, and boosts the attack of poison enemies, strong poison, and enemies inflicted with toxic for 2 turns, and reduces damage by 90%. So he's a self-proccing conditional boost against poison, which is great. He can increase your damage if you have block orbs or badly matching orbs. He just makes them neutral orbs, which is really, really nice. And he removes 5 turns of Bind and Despair, which is very, very handy to have. At worst, he would be amazing. But for me, he's definitely a God tier unit for these Kizuna characters. But I'd probably actually slide him into amazing just because, like, there are other characters. Like, you're never really using him for all of this. If you can get this off, it's nice to get around resilience. The damage reduction is a nice little cherry on top. Not having doing too much damage with these is nice, but, like, the Bind and Despair is... It's just something that you're not really using all of them for. So for me, I feel like just amazing is probably the best spot for him. But he's fairly new, so we'll see where this character sort of goes moving forward from there. The other character that is missing from the list is the Zoro, Sanji, Wano characters. The Zoro, Juro, and Sangoro unit. Now, I'm a big fan of this unit, and I haven't really used them all that much. They're a powerhouse slasher, very similar to the Nami and the Robin character, like a fake dual unit. But they have Sanji in the name, they have Zoro in the name, they have a lot of really good supports. As a captain, they're a slasher powerhouse, 3.5 times attack boost, HP by 1.3, and make strength, quick, and recovery orbs beneficials for slashers and powerhouse. Again, not a bad captain ability, but you're mainly using them for their special. They inflict all enemies with increased damage by 1.3 for 2 turns. So they inflict the increased damage taken, which is awesome. Deals 100 times their attack, which is awesome for stuff like Kyoshiro, Koroshiro, I can't say his name. Koshiro, the Zoro's Master's support, and then changes block orbs into recovery orbs and sets the chain boundary at 2.25 up to 35 times for 2 turns. Chain boundary in a free-to-play unit that does damage where you can get a support that gives you a chain buff as well as giving you damage taken. This is a God tier unit, straight up. This is like one of my favorite Kizuna like characters that has come out so far. I don't know if they're like on the Big Mom tier or like the Okiku tier, but they are very, very cool, very, very interesting mechanics and very, very strong. So that's going to wrap up the video though, guys. As I mentioned, this is the tier list. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And while you're done there, don't forget to belt that like button for me if you're new. Hit that big red subscribe button as well. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!